It's TYLOO. I think they'll be winning the duels more often than not, in my opinion, but we'll have to see. It depends who shows up on the day, especially if TYLOO's rifling trio can make it a bit difficult for them. Let's see how we do. It is Vertigo.
Yeah, good map for Eternal Fire, of course, one of their strongholds. Starting on the CT side here, TYLOO happy to just take their time, build themselves into the round. They've got a bit of utility to work with, a smoke and a molly, and Advent's disposal armor across the board. Outside of that, quite a lot of util for Eternal Fire. They got that double nade, so keep that in mind once that bomb plant potentially comes through.
Major has that kit as well, but oh, just so much damage done, and Calyx isn't expecting them to be so close to window, and all the kills will come flurrying in for TYLOO. Leaves just XANTARES remaining. He's managed to pick up that kit, but it would have to be a ridiculous 1 versus 4 for him.
Yeah. Save your kits and armor, lad. Surely, right? Just get that $350 bonus upgrade to the head armor if you decide to force in the next. Would require something remarkable here. Love the pistol round we've seen from TYLOO. Really good timing on the push through middle. Not giving away any clue as to what the plan was there as well. Taking contact, and as soon as they came into contact with somebody, they just barreled all over that B bomb site. It is going to be the first round going the way of TYLOO.
Yeah, I've seen some good stuff from TYLOO as of late on this map. I mean, I think everyone knows that at the moment... Oh, XANTARES won't even manage to save. That's a lovely shot from Kaze, actually. But yeah, I think at the moment, obviously, we were all aware of how good Eternal Fire are on Vertigo. We've seen so much explosive action from the likes of XANTARES and Kaze just running up a ramp, just owning it, it feels like, in some of the games back in CSGO. In CS2, weirdly, even though technically it should favor them with this Pika's advantage that we have, it hasn't really felt like it has overall. And to lose to Nouns in the fashion they did yesterday, I think the most worrying factor was Nouns were just plainly the better team.
Yeah, exactly. Nouns won that game. It wasn't just Eternal Fire not pitching up at all. I mean, they were leading 7-5 on the half. They were in control. It was actually their CT side which looked the most fallible, and that's a problem. It's where they're starting this map as well. Keep in mind, though, TYLOO have only played 4 Vertigos against non-Chinese or Mongolian opposition in the past 12 months, Trav. So they don't have many reps playing against a team like, you know, Eternal Fire on Vertigo. So that could prove to be a problem.
Yeah, indeed. I don't know, maybe I'm a good omen, though, because the last time I casted TYLOO playing Vertigo, they beat the Mongolian team Atox 13-0.
Yeah, that's a result. That is a result.
It's one of the results of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that'll make them feel good. I think this is a different box of frogs, though, Trav.
Ah, yes. I wondered if it would be day 2 where you'd bring out the box of frogs. We finally got it in Jönköping.
Yeah, you got to keep something in the back pocket.
But yeah, it's a great start at least. And as I said, I mean, the desk spoke about how that rifling trio can very much go up against the likes of XANTARES, Wicadia, and Calyx.
Oh, yeah.
And there is a situation, and especially with that sort of talent you have, they could absolutely trump them on the day. But for me, it comes down to 2 factors, and not even the rifling trios, because we know that there are a known quantity on these teams. It comes down to whether Woxic pitches up today. His numbers have been poor throughout the duration of CS2, and for me, Major is the more storied and maybe even more successful IGL than Advent, and his individual level is a lot higher at the moment as well.
Yeah, just had a lot more opportunity throughout his career as well, a lot more experience, although, you know, maybe been around for a similar period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Woxic point, though. That's definitely going to be a big win factor here for Eternal Fire. If he pitches up, if he plays the game we know he's capable of, then TYLOO are going to have a very difficult time of it. On the flip side of that coin, though, going back to the rifling trio of TYLOO, if they all pitch up, then there's certainly a world in which they can win this, right? It's not like this is a...
Absolutely.
It's not like this is a formality, this game coming into it.
You're not wrong. JamYoung, Mosaic, and Mercury, they've been a part of multiple ESL Challenger LANs in the past around the world, and they've impressed us so much. So it's great to see them back again, and of course, as we've discussed, under the most legendary Asian organization in TYLOO. TYLOO picking them up, saying, okay, we haven't been to a major for a long time. Let's pick up the best Chinese team and see if we can make it back. But just as they do it, it seems like maybe Lin Vision have taken that title.
You think TYLOO are looking over to their shoulders right now, these X-Ray Atom players?
I think TYLOO maybe are looking in front of them at Lin Vision saying, okay, we didn't qualify for IEM China.
Yeah.
Lost out on that LAN qualifier in Shanghai. Maybe we've got some catching up to do.
Eternal Fire some catching up to do after losing the pistol. Back into the action we go, and they've decided to go for the force buy here. Trying to keep up as much pressure as possible. The unorthodox approach in CS2, if you lose that pistol round on the CT side, normally you go for the save, but they don't want to bend the knee. And they're lacking head armor. It's actually only Calix who has head armor, and that's because he's afforded the Deeg instead. So this is actually a great chance for TYLOO. Honestly, as the T side, I'm so happy to play against a force buy.
Yeah. The problem is, are you so happy to play against a force buy that has XANTARES on it? In goes Wicadia, massive wide swing, random timing on the mid round, but that's very well dealt with by TYLOO. All 4 kills come flying in, and Wicadia only has that, well, not really even an upgrade. A switch to the Mac-10, he'll get caught trying to fall away. Wow, what a start from TYLOO. That could easily have gone awry.
Yeah, but just good awareness from them, good composure. Once that aggression started to come through, they didn't falter, they didn't start to just break apart and get overwhelmed. Everybody knew what their role was in that setup, in that situation, and they were able to hold their own. And they keep 4 players alive against the force buy as well. That's going to bode so well for their economy going forward.
Full eco for Eternal Fire. Just a couple of those deagles, of course. Wicadia got a little bit of that bonus cash from winning that 1 MP9 kill, so he can afford to get at least his deagle as well. I just need to be careful. We obviously heard from the desk, Alan, Yumi, Tea Time, talking about how they are a bit fallible to pistols sometimes. Need to make sure they don't fall down, and here we go again. 5-7's flying in, lots of team damage, thankfully. In the end, there should be no problem, but should I assume that when XANTARES is alive? That Molotov should maybe not let them expect there's a player there, but unfortunately, XANTARES will miss his shots and Mercury will deal with him. So a nice, clean 3-0 start for TYLOO. That's not what we saw yesterday. They fell foul to that MP9 deal combination from Monty and Bro, of course, on Anubis. It's a bit cleaner to start today, and that is a good sign.
One of the concerning factors for Eternal Fire in CS2 so far has been their CT sides. I mean, XANTARES has been, XANTARES 1.2 rating. Outside of that, you've got 3 players with a sub 1.0 rating.
Yep.
Calix 0.95, Major 0.82. So their CT sides have been a problem. Obviously, CT sides in general have been challenging in CS2, but it's certainly something Eternal Fire need to get under wraps.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say, I mean, other than yesterday, the Nouns game, which was just a turn up for the books in so many ways, I've been more impressed with the explosivity of the Eternal Fire T side more than their CT side, and that's always been the case, to be honest, on Vertigo. Good start in this round, though, from Wicadia, and they need a handle hold in this opening map, even if it's so early. Who's feeling the most awake in the -4 temperatures of Jönköping? Not in the studio, of course, but still.
Yeah, but thankfully,
But getting there.
a bit more comfortable. I mean, we're in shirts right now, at least I am.
Yes,
So...
I'm in my patched up bomber jacket.
Oh, okay. That's great from Mercury. I thought XANTARES gets that kill every day of the week. That levels it back into a 4 versus 4 now. A side's been compromised, forced backwards by the util, and TYLOO, I guess this is their round for the taking until Major is able to get a frag back. The bomb plot just going to come through. But the retake absolutely on the cards now with the frags that have been found.
Yeah, Woxic hit the wallbang there toward Advent. So much damage done. Major then spams through and finishes it off. How does Mazea get involved with this one to try and help out Mercury? Mercury's still stuck on default, and then when Mazea peaks, he gets removed by Woxic. Which leaves Mercury to go down. At least one more, but no more than that. Important start to CT for Eternal Fire.
Yeah, despite the fact that Eternal Fire were forced out of the bomb site, they were still able to inflict a lot of damage there, got themselves the man advantage before they had to commit to the retake as well, and they didn't even have to do a huge amount there in the retake. Kills just got offered up to them, and they happily obliged. So there we go. Turkish team on the board. As we mentioned, though, TYLOO did keep numbers alive in the rounds they were winning, so no problem for a reinvestment coming into this next round.
Yeah, it's nice seeing that Mercury kill from his POV there. Talking about Eternal Fire being off the board. XANTARES is not off the board yet, which is, even though it's only, 4 rounds in, it's actually very unusual for him. And when he's the main man getting boosted up like he was there, he is always the one to take those boosts, mostly as the star player. Usually he's the one to get them. But oh my goodness, look at this flash in through the B stairs. That's a bit of a change up. Eternal Fire looking for some deep control. And to be fair to Acadia, at least he gets his 1-for-1. But it's only a 1-for-1.
Yeah, CT side, that's probably not ideal, right? T side happy to go for that exchange. Woxic has his head ripped right off by Mercury.
Yeah.
He's going to do the exact same thing to XANTARES. His tough times continue at the start of Vertigo. That's round over.
XANTARES tried to XANTARES peek, and he got Mercury peeked. And I'm afraid that planet is too much for him to deal with.
Yeah, got sent into another dimension.
Beautiful 2K entry from Mercury, and just like that, it's going to seal the round, despite the fight that Eternal Fire had in their hands for their first gun round, which in the end turned out to be pretty comfortable. TYLOO will just hit straight back off the back of it, and yeah, I mean, there wasn't really a huge amount to that. It's just once they saw Eternal Fire's pressure down to the bottom of B stairs, they knew Acadia only got his 1-for-1, they knew there was one more on B still.
Yeah, true.
They pounced. They knew that maybe if there's an A player remaining, it's either towards sandbags on his own, toward double stack on his own, or perhaps in the middle of nowhere, as XANTARES was.
Yeah, the general school of thought with those opening kills, if you go 1-for-1 as the T side, just so happy with that at the start of the round, because you just think about the space that you create. 4 versus 4, you know you've opened up the map a little bit more. You know you can group up and go for some sort of an exec at that point. You're going to have a numerical advantage on the map. You can think about the push and the pull, the rotations you're going to be forcing. So sure, you know, it looks flashy from Acadia, but only getting the 1 kill, I don't think that's necessarily worth it.
It was an attempt from Eternal Fire to maybe get 1 and get out, but even though they got Acadia through that smoke, of course, it wasn't a situation where he managed to check his close left, which is so often where a T will default. Kaze is having a nice start to this game as well. Really important for his AWP to get started fresh. And considering, of course, that Woxic is the one that's been struggling in CS2. Weirdly, I would favour Kaze over the course of this series.
We didn't see him with the AWP much yesterday against Nouns. Excuse me, against Monty rather, but that was just a problem with the economy.
Yeah.
Wasn't really able to get the gun involved either way. Eternal Fire, they do manage a decent arsenal of weaponry coming into the 6th here, and they've got that opening frag as well. It's so important they don't lose this next round, otherwise things really start to snowball out of control for them.
Yeah, Eternal Fire being a little bit extra proactive toward B stairs in this game so far. Major once again will kick off the round. Mazea will drop, and of course it leaves them in a bit of a weird situation where they're once again forced to somewhat retake A before the bomb's even been planted. Looking around the outskirts of the site to see if someone has lurked up, wary of Mercury, perhaps doing the same thing again. But this time it's going to be 3 toward mid for TYLOO, and Major just jiggle peeking back and forth, looking for information. When does he get shot at? There is the timing. Now he can fall back to a more defensive angle, and of course with 2 players in elevator, this could make it very interesting for TYLOO. They're about to go into the mixer, but Mercury's turned up today. Another big headshot, but Major and Woxic will turn up for some of their own. Yeah, JamYoung will at least take Woxic. And the HP, of course, is very low, and the time is very low as well. Calyx has helped out toward Kaze, and now JamYoung is incredibly stuck, and I think he realizes that the best course of action is to save.
Yeah, heads for the hills. Good attempt there. Mercury does find a frag. Unfortunately, they're not able to build off of that. They were just running out of time, and they didn't have any obvious options available either. It was a good setup there from Eternal Fire in towards middle. Just churned up the TYLOO players once they made their way through. JamYoung accepts his fate, and he will carry the rifle through. So that is TYLOO dropping the ball after winning a round. We're just trading rounds, trading blows back and forth here between these two teams. Neither squad able to build up much momentum. And if this is indicative of what we can expect going forward into the rest of the series, we've got a game on our hands, man.
Absolutely. Especially if XANTARES isn't necessarily going to show up either.
I do feel like that's not really a problem right now for Eternal Fire, because you know, as much as the sun rises, you can rely on XANTARES pitching defensively.
Yeah, even if it's not map 1, it'll be map 2, without a doubt. It's one of the most reliable things in Tier 2, even sometimes Tier 1 Counter-Strike. And it has been the case, incredibly, for probably about 5 or 6 years, maybe more.
Death Taxes and XANTARES pitching up, man.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, even from the transition from CSGO into CS2, he's one of the players who's just been able to maintain his performance, even a slight elevation in his numbers. Looking forward to seeing him on the T side. He's got a 1.4 rating on his T sides in CS2 so far.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch how he had been playing the first few rounds of this game as well. He was often the player to take point. We saw him on the boost. We saw him peak elevator first in that previous round. Talking of peaking first, this time it's Wicadia. There's been similarities drawn between Wicadia and XANTARES. This time Wicadia will be the one to fall to Kaze's AWP, and he is having a really impactful start to this game, appearing above those ramp smokes, of course. And when you get that opening pick as a T side toward the bottom of A ramp on Vertigo, it can be so rough as a CT side to try and retake that. You need at least 3 riflers sometimes to even regain control. Yeah,
and that's if you even want to go for it, right? It is a big gamble from Wicadia to sort of play that position. I mean, it's really popular with the AWP on the T side. Most popular option to just play bottom of ramp, hold the top of the smoke there and wait to see if somebody pushes into your scope, into your crosshair. And off the back of getting that kill towards the A side, TYLOO head towards the opposite side of the map here. They know they're forced to have drawn some sort of a rotation. And Eternal Fire, they've got 3 players leaning in towards A right now. It's only Major on the opposite side of the map, and he has a big job to do.
Oh, it's a nice start, but it will get deleted by JamYoung, and it's those sort of trades that are so critical for TYLOO during the course of this entire series, and it's so promising that we're seeing them hit them so early on. 3v4, utility is available, and it'll definitely be one they'll go for now with Calyx catching Advent, but hang on a moment. Mercury's on the flank. Could he be the key man once again?
Yeah.
Not a single player from Eternal Fire is considering this. This could be brilliant as soon as this smoke fades, even if it doesn't need to fade. He's got a freebie, but XANTARES took JamYoung in the meantime, so Mercury just has to stay alive, but Kaze's on the server. Woxic can't deal with Kaze, even jumping around on the B stairs. Wow, TYLOO are here.
Yeah, perfectly pinging contact off of one another there were the TYLOO players in the post plant, buying the time for Mercury to come through with his backstab, and then once Mercury activates, that's when Kaze makes sure he's able to get into the fray as well. Just a really good understanding of how to play off of one another in that situation. That's shattered Eternal Fire's economy, and the CT side is starting to look bleak.
Hell yeah, TYLOO. It felt like we didn't get to see what they were about yesterday. I think we're already seeing what they're about today.
Yeah, it's true. They just didn't pitch up at all in their game against Monty yesterday. We know these players on paper. We know this rifling core are ridiculously talented. And they want to prove to themselves as well. They just want to pitch up and put up a performance to be proud of, right? Even if you lose or you get eliminated from an event, you sleep a lot better at night knowing, yeah, but we played our game. You know, we gave it a red-hot crack. There wasn't much more we could have done. We just got outclassed. But if you go home and you're like, yeah, we actually just didn't even really pitch up to the event at all. We got blasted out the water. Kind of just feels a bit empty at that point.
A little bit concerning for Eternal Fire that they seem to play that particular situation, walking nearly all their players through A, of course, on this pistol round. I know it's just a low buy, which is being dealt with nicely by JamYoung and Mercury. But it's concerning to me slightly they just sort of walked back into A without expecting perhaps there to be a TYLOO player already having presence up the ramp. Seems to be a bit lackadaisical.
I'm not too worried about Eternal Fire just yet. I know it's their T side where they'll do most of their heavy lifting. So if they can muster 4 rounds in this first half, I think they're still in with the shout here.
Yeah, and XANTARES just being an absolute nuisance right now. It really doesn't matter if he goes down to the bomb.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it's close.
Not enough.
Unfortunately not to be. They survive at 22 and 18 HP combined, and the grins tell it all how close that may have been. But I think XANTARES will actually be quite happy with that, getting a couple of kills for his early morning confidence with the MP9, farming up some of that cash, of course, to get proper investment into this next round.
The problem is here for Eternal Fire is they haven't won consecutive rounds yet.
Indeed.
No momentum being built up at all. You can see the coaches offering some thoughts here. Good to see them using their pauses. Hedia on the desk yesterday said, you know, she detests teams who end up losing a map without having used all their resources available to them.
And I'd feel the same. I mean, even like in regular life, if you feel like you failed at something and you haven't done to the best of your ability that you believe in yourself, it's disappointing. Timeouts are a very important factor. TYLOO, 6-2. And it's such a refreshing start from them after what we saw yesterday, of course.
Yeah, they've pitched up here, man. Played the first game of the day yesterday, the first game here today as well.
Very good point. At least it's a BO3 this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Overpass the map after this. Mirage decides the series if we go the distance. We know Overpass is a really good map for TYLOO. Probably just exceeded by Nuke in terms of their best map, but either way, Alex is taking first contact here and he's hoping his teammate can play off of him.
That was very risky from Calyx, actually. Once he'd been seen. That is a very nice team ollie to move Major out of that position. And of course, they should now know that it was a double setup there. I think there was enough time between Calyx shifting away and that Molotov coming in to think it's just one player. Should be obvious that it's two. They're still trying to make up their mind. Bottom of ramp again. Kaze's been waiting here quite often, and they've been very successful with it.
Yeah, it feels like TYLOO realized that they've forced those players back towards B stairs, so they know they've deprived Eternal Fire of information. They've also got A ramp control, so the CTs don't really have any idea of what's going on right now. They're kind of just having to go for a bit of a gamble.
That's the worst part, right? When you don't have ramp control as a CT, you just let yourself be executed upon. But thankfully this time, the sprays through the smoke and the HE from XANTARES is going to work out beautifully. It cancels it out this time. Kaze still towards sandbags though, and that's not something Eternal Fire knew of just yet. KD will go down for free on that one, and Mosea's still here. That's a clean headshot. There's a gap player as well, but Woxic just about recovers it. So it leaves Kaze 1v3, and double stack will rear its head. XANTARES gets his second, and now he's awoken. You have a chance to recover for EF.
Good work coming through there from the Turkish team on that A-bomb side, able to lock it down despite the fact they didn't really know what to expect there in terms of where TYLOO were headed. They did have a bit of a gamble rotation. The third player arrived on the scene and that made a big difference. Just able to lock it down as soon as TYLOO gained some traction there. They got shut down and actually whittled down to some upgraded pistols, a Galil and an AK. So this is Eternal Fire's opportunity. Despite the fact they haven't really pitched up yet here on Vertigo, you win this, 6-4 becomes 6-5. And that's certainly a decent halftime scoreline for them.
Yeah, we mentioned it a lot. Exactly. We mentioned it a lot, right? I mean, sometimes you can start off pretty clean, 6-2, you're feeling really good. Even 6-0, you could be feeling really good. And suddenly the half ends 7-5, and you're like, oh, the gap's 2 rounds. Whoopsie.
Where did it all go?
Whoopsie doodles.
Arcadia. Not sure if he was actually spotted there. I don't think so. Utility dwindling now for TYLOO as well. They only have a couple flashes of smoke and a molly left at their disposal. Oh, Arcadia playing a brave game right now. Himself and Woxic taking these forward positions up, looking to try and gain control and play for information.
And now, Eternal Fire taking point. Woxic going for his swing, then Arcadia will pick up the back of it. The AUG is a perfect weapon for these long ranges. He'll eat up a couple. It's all Woxic and all Arcadia to finish that one for Eternal Fire. And as you so rightly pointed out, Matthew, this could have 6-6 written all over it, honestly.
Yeah, TYLOO actually just kind of get picked apart there, man, like a carcass, and Vulture's just picking them limb from limb.
Yep.
They didn't have any utility to try and contest ramp. Normally you see that halfway ramp smoke coming through from the T side, but not employed at all. They kind of just go for the fights. Even the first frag that was found by Arcadia, there wasn't even any trade potential, despite the fact that all 5 players were there. Just looked a bit discombobulated there for TYLOO.
Yeah, now the full eco for TYLOO as the final 2 rounds of the half will come in. We're guaranteed a full investment for both teams on that final round of the half. Woxic has been pretty decent. Obviously, we haven't seen a huge amount of AWPing yet, but he's put himself into important rifling positions, especially on that split that came through mid on that 1 gun round. They managed to deal with it pretty nicely.
Same setup being employed by Eternal Fire. Worked out very nicely between Woxic and Arcadia in the previous. XANTARES, he's been playing in towards middle. Normally the partner in crime for Arcadia in towards ramp, but they just got a bit of a 2-2-1 setup being employed, and TYLOO will now try close the gap, but this is a formality. I mean, damage won't even really matter because the next is the last of the half.
You see a bit of communication there between Arcadia and Woxic, perhaps being a little bit panicked, but they should realize there's no reason to be. Saw it on those player cams, and now XANTARES perhaps looking to try and farm up some ecos, but TYLOO are going elsewhere. And I respect doing this with just a Glock round. Sometimes it's very, you know, consider it a throwaway. You'll just run in, but they are at least trying their best to get a plant, maybe a little bit extra in the next round. I'm afraid that's not going to be the case. Major will just about finish it off with the last USP bullet. And we do have a possibility of an even game going into half number 2.
Yeah, it's going to give Eternal Fire a good boost of confidence. Because of the loss they suffered yesterday to Nouns on this map, that will be fresh in their memory and fresh in their minds. So they could be slightly frail coming into the game as a result. And with things not starting too well, I was wondering if maybe they could slip into a bit of a rough place. But they've won some consecutive rounds now. They've got some momentum behind them. They've pitched up on the server. And it's certainly a half that they can work with going into their T side, regardless of what happens here at the 12th.
Like they're going to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and maybe go for a very similar round as before. But this time, Molotov comes in and puts Wakadia down to 39 HP already. Without him having seen a soul, but he's happy to take those duels either way, and Eternal Fire have realized what cancels out TYLOO at the end of this first half. And it's been a relatively impressive recovery, to be honest, from 6-2. Looking like it'll be ever closer to that 6-6.
Yeah, TYLOO are looking like a completely different team in these past 4 rounds, though. Not able to get any ramp control. Wakadia and Woxic, the duo, working a charm towards ramp right now. And I love the fact that they haven't hung around here either after they get those 2 kills. They've locked their profits in. They head in towards the bomb site. They force TYLOO to make that next move.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? You almost feel like in these last 4 rounds of the half, if they had just run up super quick with the likes of Mercury, who we saw hit some ridiculous entries to basically win a round single-handedly earlier on in the half, maybe that would have been a bit more successful than taking it slow like this. But we're all experts after the event, of course. Woxic in position. Will swing at a mid-round timing to try and catch off Kaze, but actually gets caught very much in the open. That's a little bit dangerous for Eternal Fire, but XANTARES and Wakadia are, of course, still here. Mosea will get taken down, and now JamYoung is last alive. Molly into a double that might move Major away. It's a little bit deep, they'll all peak at the same time, and it is a 6-6 half to start off day 2 of ESL Challenger Jönköping. We'll see you after a very quick break.
give me all your love? Come and meet me in the middle, babe. I give you all of my heart. Meet you in the middle, babe. Would you give me all your love? 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 Come and meet me in the middle, babe. And I'll give you all of my heart. Come meet you in the middle, babe. Would you give me all your love? Would you give me all your love?
Even Stevens to start off day 2 between TYLOO and Eternal Fire, the battle of the dragons. And I think with how that first half panned out, Eternal Fire will be quite happy to at least get back to that even standpoint.
Oh, absolutely. And the concern for TYLOO is that was almost without XANTARES playing his normal game. Now we get to the T side where XANTARES has been phenomenal in CS2, so that's only going to compound the problems for TYLOO coming into the second half.
Indeed. Double dualies, Mercury and Advent. We saw Advent win a pretty important 1v2 with the dualies yesterday, but let's see if he's in the same sort of situation today. Kaze, P2000 in elevator. So it will come in, and it's actually a bit of a carbon copy to what TYLOO wanted to do on their T-pistol.
Yeah.
Now Eternal Fire's going to try and put it into practice, and Wicadia doesn't check Advent. Gets at least a 1-for-1, at least a quick trade from Calyx, and the bomb is down already. But it is only a 3v4.
Good position from XANTARES as he plucks Kaze out the air. He's able to maintain the spot as well, although JamYoung jumping around the corner. I love that approach coming through from him. Throwing caution to the wind. No kit in play though for TYLOO, so it's going to be tough for them to make the retake happen, but that doesn't matter when JamYoung's hitting shots.
Yeah, hitting shots and hitting strafes, of course. That we've seen many high-tier professional player fall foul of that strafe around the top of the building, but it makes sense rather than to pile all your retaking players through one spot. And actually, it was the key bit of movement that worked out to win this round back for TYLOO.
I think that's what unlocked the retake because of XANTARES' position, as we see right there.
There it is.
Oh, I love it. Could have done it with the knife even, but it doesn't matter. Job done. That's what he was looking for. Beautiful kills coming through from JamYoung. A player that Desk highlighted, and he's living up to that expectation. Both pistol rounds now going the way of TYLOO here. So, does that mean Eternal Fire, they have not won a pistol round yet here on the LAN?
You may be right on
They
that
lost
one.
both to Nouns yesterday on this map, no?
I think you may be right on that one. They may have lost both to Nouns. They did win their T-half 7-5. So
Yeah.
if they're to do that today, they'd be safe. However, they've already lost that pistol. And Mercury playing a very nice defensive angle. They're falling back, not wanting to go too aggressive too soon, knowing, of course, that Eternal Fire with that bomb planted on the pistol will have some sort of investment here. May just sacrificing himself to get XANTARES on an AK. The other two on Galil's and Wicadia. Now on nothing.
Yeah, he was trying to chase down the player there in towards Gap, and unfortunately, as a gap opened up in his head, re-aggression from TYLOO going to be the approach off the back of a flash. Not necessary, though. They've got the man advantage already. They want more, though. They want information. They want control. But now we've reduced the game to an even numbers standing, and there's still time here for Eternal Fire to play with.
That was a gamble from TYLOO. You don't really often see a CT side try and retake ramp on Vertigo when you have an advantage.
Yeah.
And you know it's been taken as well.
Not only that, but Eternal Fire playing with the Force Bias. So you have the weaponry advantage, you have the man advantage. You don't really need to try and make those sorts of plays, I don't reckon. Either way, Eternal Fire, radio silence from them there afterwards, but it's going to be a second wave in towards the, say, bomb site. They have got a flash between them as they look to try and make their way forward. 17 seconds on the clock. They're leaving this one incredibly late.
Ooh.
Late enough for Mercury to turn his back. Woxic hits a great shot, and Mercury can't do anything about the bomb plant.
That's so awkward. Woxic, another big shot on the rifle, I think it's fair to say. Gonna try and strafe back away. That's Calyx falling back to Crane, and he'll manage it. No kit on either JamYoung or Mercury, and that is the issue here. How are they going to speed up this retake? Is there a kit dropped on the site somewhere? I am not sure at the moment. Woxic toward Gap. JamYoung is about to face him. It's going to be a tough angle to hold, though. And as I suspected, JamYoung hits the peak as advantage. 2v2, taps on the bomb. It's going to be a massive brawl toward ramp. They know where Major is, but he just needs to waste the time. And I think he's going to be... I've done enough here. JamYoung is out of there. And Major will lead his team to a 7-all.
Yeah, not going to live to tell the tale. That's fine, though. That's the least of his worries. The force buy is successful. Despite the fact Wicadia was the first to go down there. 5 versus 4. Smiles across the board there for Eternal Fire. First round on the T side. And that's a rough one for TYLOO to lose. Because now the scoreline's leveled up. They're going to have to force buy. If they lose that force, then it's an eco. And Eternal Fire is sitting very pretty at that point.
There's that TYLOO ramp retake there, which cost them a 2-for-1. Thought for a second that they might get punished with Woxic not taking the initiative there, letting himself get peeked by JamYoung, but time was always going to be that problem. There was no kit available, so that is where they found themselves, unfortunately.
Remember, we mentioned this yesterday, that Eternal Fire have not won a best of 3 that's gone to 3 maps since April this year. Any best of 3 they've won has been 2-0 since April. They are struggling in terms of games that go 3 maps. So that's something we certainly need to keep in mind here.
Actually, such a crazy statistic, of course, because you'll think back and their Pro League run and say, really? It was all 2-0s. 9 Liquid, Cloud9 Big, Astralis, all 2-0.
Yeah.
Incredible.
They kryptonized that third map, man. And this time around, it will be Mirage if we go to a third, which is a bit of an iffy map for both of these teams. The triple boost for Mercury. No, actually just the double, or was it all 3? I think it was all 3. He was struggling to stay on top there. He had a lot to aim at, but unfortunately couldn't connect on the shots. So that's an opening kill that goes a-begging.
Definitely was a chance. And these walls, to say they're wall-bangable would be an understatement.
Yeah,
many a player getting caught on that one. And Calix, he's been smoked off. I think they're aware that he's close. Oh, it's a whiffy one from Calix, but he gets away with it. JamYoung can't complete that one, and with Major taking Kaze, Eternal Fire could be about to put their foot down here. Advent will at least get a kill in the side. And it's a gun that maybe just will be able to be picked up. Yes, it will. So they're fine with the 2 guns to save, but Eternal Fire will retake the lead, at least with those saved guns. If they're allowed to save them, it's going to give TYLOO something to work with in this following round, of course, after that force by war.
This is going to be the first time on the map that Eternal Fire actually have the lead. So that'll give them a good boost of confidence. Next round's going to be an eco around these saved weapons as well for TYLOO. They will have a bit of bite, of course, with the AK and the M4 that's going to be carried through. But from that 6-2 scoreline in favor of TYLOO, they've only won a single round since then, while Eternal Fire have mustered 6.
Yeah, they've built their way in. And that's the way to start these early morning games for sure. You can't expect yourself to start quick every single time with these. But they're used to it, I'm sure, with some of those early morning online matches that they have to play. It's a whole different breed, of course, on LAN, especially in a cold country.
It's always more rough for the UK guys, right? Because they're an hour behind Europe, and so sometimes you get those like 9 AM starts with the online games.
I've seen enough of Mighty Max complaining about that on Twitter. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I've seen enough complaints.
Yeah, fair enough, man. I'm trying to be a UK sympathizer here.
Understood, understood.
Either way, Advent has kept the AK, and I don't know, man. Personally, I'd rather see that in Mosier's hands. He's also got Kevlar. This is the Zeus effect all over again, man. Zeus and Simple. Remember that one?
That is a bit of a throwback, that's for sure. Mosaic, he can do a little bit of the fakeage. Advent actually, with that saved AK overall, will do well to get one, considering he's getting swarmed upon. Actually, Major's Mach 10 to take him down. Number of players ready here. Oh, but that would have been a big win for Mercury if he was to take Calix. I think they'll probably be throwing at least a couple of players into this one because they can buy next round anyway, but XANTARES' flames will spread, and somehow it's continuing to do even more damage. So much fire and flames tickling away at the feet of JamYoung and Kaze. Kaze trying to be a nuisance to try and pick up that M4, and actually he's managed to nab it. How he's managed to jump himself into that smoke, nab the M4 and get out of there, don't really ask me how.
I don't know if he's...
Houdini action.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to stay alive, though. Calyx is already closing the door in on them. He's going to hear these footsteps as well. I mean, Kaze has got the health to sustain this gunfight because Calyx is low, but Calyx has the angle. And with that, he finds the frag. A 2-round buffer now for Eternal Fire as we head into this first full gun round of the second half.
Yeah, it's been a while, right? Because of those forced by wars, of course.
Yeah.
I think there was one game a few years ago where I think it may have been, obviously it would have been CSGO, but I think it may have been between Eternal Fire, actually, and another roster. And I think the forced by wars might have gone on until something like 6-6 in the first half, where they would just refuse to back down because no team could win 2 in a row. This time Eternal Fire will manage it.
No AWP in play on that T side. By choice as well, by the way. Could have afforded an AWP and had it dropped across.
Well, I mean, that's kind of interesting, right? I think Woxic has been rifling all game pretty much.
Which is a huge statement. I mean, you think back to CSGO, Woxic was one of the best AWPers that we had in the game. And for him to be dropping the gun, I think that just makes a really big statement of the state of the AWP.
Makes a big statement of the state of the AWP, but maybe the state of his confidence with the AWP as well. We've seen quite a lot of AWPers in Tier 2, of course. Look, flashy, superb with that AWP, despite the fact, obviously, it's a little bit worse. I think there's definitely a few. I mean, Brokey is the obvious one, but maybe some more unknown names like Art Frost, for example, do make it look pretty good. A bit of a pace. This is what we used to see from Eternal Fire in Pro League. Just give the CT side no time to relax up this ramp area. And Kade's already got his 1-for-1. Saw him do that so many times. Always good for that one. Thankfully for TYLOO, they're able to get one and back off.
Yeah, but you take that if you're Eternal Fire. You've leveled the numbers out very early on, and you have great control here. You've also forced the CTs to deploy more utility than what they would have liked to just keep you at bay. And there's so much time now for Eternal Fire to decide what they'd like to do from here. They can just leave one player posted. They can rotate back. They can just completely sell the fake. They've got so many options.
Yeah, and Vent will chuck in that little one-way smoke there on the side of the crane, but there's no one to really play with it. And he spots a little head in the gap of that left-hand side smoke. Oh, the Molotov on the white box behind. Calyx is going to burn down Mercury. They were trying to prepare a boost on that white box to try and see above these smokes, and the Molotov stops them from doing so and gets a kill with it as well. JamYoung's position has been seen. There would have been no reason for him to flash that otherwise. And Eternal Fire, off the back maybe of that perfectly placed Molotov, have forced TYLOO away again.
I wonder if Advent maybe body blocked Mercury a little bit there, so he wasn't actually able to get through, because there was also a molly in towards Advent's left-hand side towards the double stack.
Yeah.
So it was a very little room, a very narrow area for them to position themselves to not get burnt out. Great util usage out of Eternal Fire.
Yeah, you could see what they were planning for, TYLOO. Fire couldn't let them put it into place. That boost above those smokes can work out for so many cheeky picks to get back into these sort of rounds.
This has slipped away so quickly for TYLOO. They were leading 6-2 at one point. Eternal Fire have won 8 out of the past 9 rounds. All the momentum behind them on their favored side as well right now. It was a great start for TYLOO. But now they're on the brink. They're on the cusp. Are we going to see an investment from them? We could see JamYoung dropping a rifle, so we probably... I mean, do we see them go all in? If they eco, they still have some firepower behind them. So it's probably what the discussion is about right now.
You would think it's always good times to put in those timeouts, not just to slow it down, but to actually figure out what kind of purchase you're going to make and make sure it's as you want it.
Both teams looking pretty calm, composed, not a huge amount of emotion on display. Faber, the coach of Eternal Fire, probably the one we've seen the most emotion out of so far.
Yeah.
Into the game we go. It is going to be an investment from TYLOO. Looks a lot better than what I initially expected. Still lacking that AWP. Lose this round and you don't save any guns. 11-7 becomes 12-7, and that's probably an unassailable lead.
You would think so. And yeah, Faber probably looking a little bit animated, of course, because no, Eternal Fire, this is basically a game they cannot afford to lose.
Oof, that was unlike XANTARES. Looked a bit slow on the trigger there.
Yeah.
Crosshair placement was good, but Kaze comes out on top.
There's one thing about XANTARES, even if he dies, his crosshair placement will always be pretty decent. Yeah, that's a great pick from Kaze, using that cheeky little hard-to-clear angle on the edge of the white box, despite the fact it was checked by XANTARES. Kaze got there first. Now, it's time for Wakadia to perhaps pounce toward A. We've got Advent close up. Is he about to be flashed in? He is. He needs to get himself a kill. He'll manage it. Calyx will trade it, but it's now a 2v4 for EF.
I love that from Mosier. It's what I wanted to point out there. The fact that he took up Kaze's position, because in the death cam from XANTARES, he would have seen Kaze falling back in middle. Mosier shifts into his spot there in mid and works out perfectly. Everything falling into place right now for TYLOO in this all-important round.
It's been pretty nice on the rifle so far, but he's going to need to find a few ridiculous shots here. 30 seconds for Eternal Fire. Can Calyx get a couple? He cannot. He cannot even get the one, and now it's Woxic. Would be a 1 versus 4, but TYLOO now know not to do any form of peeking. The gap player just needs to hide. 15 HP. Bomb is dropped in the open. He'll manage to collect it. But of course, there's not really any time for this, knowing there's still a player ready to face him as soon as it's tapped. Even a Molotov to stop him from planting toward the CT area. That's a nice bit of protocol from TYLOO there.
Wow.
And Woxic will somehow path his way out toward B and save.
Well, he's just chasing Ghost at this point. He's thinking, okay, I've picked up the bomb, I've made some footsteps. That guy, Gap, is going to re-aggress now. He waits for him.
Yeah.
Nothing there. He sees the molly coming through from Connect. He thinks, okay, I'm going to try force the fight on that player. Nothing there either. Eventually just carries the rifle through. Not the worst results. I mean, chances of winning that with his lack of health were slim to none. And here we go. TYLOO keeping their heads above the water right now.
Yep, gap is only 2. Eternal Fire. Thankfully for them, they of course still have everything, and they'll have a buy in reserve as well, even if this round is to go awry. Now, Mercury aggression from the bottom of ramp. You see this so much. So many teams, but there will be a nade to break that smoke. This time, though, it works out in Mercury's favor. That is a lovely first pick, and he even looks like he's going to get away to the back and even get a second on Woxic. That is impressive, and still with 36 health to spare.
Yeah, very brave there from Mercury to kind of hang around and find that second kill as well. Massive advantage now for the team. That's a beautiful kill out of XANTARES, my God. Barely offered up an inch, but he takes the country mile.
You see that so often. He loves that country mile. Must have a nice landscape. Calyx waiting for aggression from TYLOO. He'd be absolutely right. JamYoung is close up on the plywood. Boost up on the stairs. That could be hard for JamYoung to face. And yes, that's a rough one. And XANTARES! Here we go. That is what he's capable of. Cracking open the bomb site all alone. But the round is still very much on. Mazer's doing all the work right now. Trying to waste the clock for his teammate Advent to come and help out. Smoke back towards CT, and it looks like they will get the bomb down comfortably, but there's a bit of a peek over the top of the smoke, and Major will be taken down. It's down to XANTARES, and he needs this ace for his team, but he's not expecting Advent on the flank. Wow, XANTARES really put everything into practice there, but he'll fly 51 floors to his demise, and TYLOO close the gap to 1.
Yeah, really important round going their way. It's the first time we've seen XANTARES lighting up the server in that fashion, but unfortunately his efforts are in vain. With that bomb plant, probably just enough money for Eternal Fire, but TYLOO hanging on by a thread. That's all they need right now, round by round on their opponent's map pick. They force Eternal Fire to call another pause here. And they've actually been pretty good from their pauses. I think they called one at 6-2 as well. We saw Coach Fabre have quite a few words, and that's when they changed the setup up towards ramp, and it worked out nicely for them. So I'm keen to see what the solution's going to be here afterwards.
Don't forget, Eternal Fire were feeling comfortable around about, what was it, 10-7 against Nouns yesterday?
Yeah.
And managed to fall down. XANTARES, 5th highest rated player on day 1. Not
going to
really
mean much to him.
Not going to mean much to him at all.
No.
Even if he was the top-rated player on day 1, it wouldn't mean anything to him if he got eliminated from the tournament, of course, on day 2.
Here we go, look at that shot. My God. I mean, I feel like that
Here it
has
is.
to be a pre-fire. It's just...
Oh,
no one has those reaction speed. That sort of reaction speed, that's inhumane, as Anders would say.
May. Very inhumane, unfortunately, for TYLOO. Mercury, once again, spamming down through those ramp smokes. This is a huge round in the context of this game, but that's a whiffy one for from Advent, and we mentioned, of course, his individual level can be an issue sometimes. He's had a few important kills in this game, even though he's 9 and 14. But it's those sort of situations where getting 1-for-1 is so critical for TYLOO, and he isn't able to manage it this time.
Really good work out of Arcadia. He's happy to be the tip of the spear here for the team, happy to be the one thrust into the front lines, take those early gunfights. It's not a comfortable place to be, but he's been doing a really good job in that regard. Kaze has a massive job on his hands right now. Orb in play for the first time here on the CT side. He's on the correct side of the map as well. Eternal Fire start to dump their utility in towards the side. Kaze has not been displaced. He's got support as well, but no, the support doesn't have a favorable angle, so Kaze has been caught in the sidelines. Now that means Mercury has to make good for that mistake, but he's only going to be able to get the single kill. Mosey is running out of health at a rate of knots, and surely no chance for TYLOO to recover. JamYoung has to do so much work here on the flank, but he's been spotted already, and that's going to be Eternal Fire up to 11.
Yeah, and then spotted for the second time as well, trying to at least make something happen on a flank. Maybe not quick enough, maybe not confident enough to push it a little bit sooner with the information that he's got. But Eternal Fire up to 11. Again, it's not been smooth sailing in any stretch of the imagination, which does make me pretty confident for TYLOO, to be honest, going into map 2, especially Overpass, and one they love very much. Well, of course, we'll get into that later. Eternal Fire still have to win this one out, and it can still go either way. But unfortunately, the economy for TYLOO is going to be a situation where it's not going to work out, and JamYoung won't even be allowed to save. Was that some wallbang damage there through the edge of the building? I'm not sure. We didn't see it from an Eternal Fire POV.
I don't think so. He was just very low there, I reckon. Either way, that is a problem because now TYLOO are going to have to settle for a save, and that means map point is ripe for the taking to get themselves up to that 12th round for Eternal Fire. Man, TYLOO were breathing down their neck here in these past few rounds, but it'll be a sigh of relief for the T side, as they should pretty much be able to get up to 12 for free here.
Mosaic needs a round for TYLOO, otherwise they will be playing for overtime.
This is something we saw TYLOO struggle so much to do in the latter stages of their T side, get ramp control early on. Arcadia and Woxic just kept them at bay the entire time. Look at how easy and seamlessly Eternal Fire have been able to take this control in the past few rounds.
Yeah, even on the gun rounds against the utility, right? Arcadia has been so consistent and confident to go for that. Some of the Eternal Fire from the Pro League run. Damage significant. Arcadia flicky and clean with it. JamYoung and Advent will go down. Calyx to follow up. And ideally, Isaiah will try and keep the AK for one more round.
Yeah, carry it through here for sure, mate. Oh, but he won't even be afforded that luxury. Major takes him down. And that is map point here for Eternal Fire. 3 map points to look forward to here on their map pick. From chasing Vertigo 6-2 at one point, they've completely turned things around. They've won 10 of the past 13 rounds, have Eternal Fire.
Brutal for TYLOO. Brutal.
Yeah, and Kaze has kind of dropped off. I mean, I know nobody's really putting up great numbers, but I think he was like 10 for 3 or something like that at one point.
Kaze had a really nice start to T side. He was getting loads of picks on that ramp area. CT side has not been as impactful from him at the moment.
Woxic has his AWP, by the way.
Yeah, finally. I mean, they got enough money for it this time, so I guess they're thinking, you know, why not? It is map point at this stage. Let's give it a go. Hasn't been a necessity for Eternal Fire, basically in this entire game. Oh, lots of burn damage for JamYoung, and even though Bazea was looking for the boost, XANTARES has repeated it again, and Calyx is going to go even deeper for it. Kaze will be removed. It's Mercury and Advent, and Arcadia hits 2 headshots as well, and that encapsulates what Eternal Fire are all about. 5 quick fire headshots to take map 1.
Great reflection of their mental fortitude as well. They didn't get shaken after their slow start to the map. They knew what they were capable of. They stuck to their guns. And again, that pause after the 8th round was a really big turning point for Eternal Fire.
Yeah, they look really, really clean in the end.